Welcome to my video. Today we're going to be doing Virtua Fighter versus Tekken. We're going to go through all 5 of the first games because Virtua Fighter only went up to Virtua Fighter 5. So we're going to do Virtua Fighter 1 all the way to Virtua Fighter 5 and vice versa with Tekken. We're going to be playing graphics, gameplay, sound. Let's get on with it. Let's start off with the beginning of this genre, Virtua Fighter for the Sega arcade. Here we're looking at Virtua Fighter 1 for the arcade, released by Sega in 1993. This was groundbreaking for the time, as this was the first ever 3D fighting game. And it was the first fighting game really at the time to introduce martial arts instead of special moves like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter had. So this was groundbreaking and actually paved the way for Tekken to even exist. So let's talk about the graphics. The graphics, as you can see, are a bit blocky, but this is 1993 technology, and for 1993 technology, these graphics are outstanding. The game runs really fast at a smooth pace, and the combat is nothing but outstanding, as we later on to expect from all Virtua Fighter games. The combat relies on 3 buttons: kick, punch and block. Very simple to access, 1 to kick, 1 to punch, 1 to block. But the key to Virtua Fighter is you have to use the D-pad to get out combos. So in order to learn the combos, you have to position your thumb correctly in the D-pad to use the combos. It is a very technique, skillful game to learn, what makes it fantastic. And the best thing about it is if you're a professional player and been playing it for a long time, no beginner can just come on and beat you from the first go. So Virtua Fighter is a fantastic game and was one of the well, as I said, the first 3D fighting game ever to be released and one of the best to this very day. Now we're looking at Tekken for the arcade. Tekken, in my opinion, was graphically weaker than Virtua Fighter, even though it was released in 1994, a whole year later than Virtua Fighter. But saying that, it is clearly obvious that the graphics, in my opinion, are not as good as Virtua Fighters. And other things I have problems with Tekken. The gameplay is incredibly slow, and when it was transferred from the arcade to the PlayStation, it was even slower. It made the gameplay completely awful, in my opinion, to play. After playing Virtua Fighter, you just can't get the grips with how slow the Tekken combat actually is. The other thing with Tekken, it is one of those games where you could be playing it for a whole week non-stop and just invite one of your friends over to play it for the first time, and your friend could easily beat you by just bashing the buttons. That's what Tekken is all about. So the combo really doesn't require much skill to win. Saying that, they do have some good combos you can get out by pressing the buttons at the right time, but it's not incredibly hard because how slow the characters move. You really don't need that much skill to get out a combo. So even a beginner just bashing the buttons could likely get half a combo out or even a full combo out and beat you. Saying that, the backgrounds on Tekken 1 is probably better than the backgrounds on Virtua Fighter 1, but that's about all it has in its favour. So this round of the first release games goes to Virtua Fighter. Round 2, the second release games. We're starting off with Virtua Fighter 2, the arcade. Sega did everything perfect on this game. They increased the speed of the game, they increased the moves, and they added 2 more characters. The graphics are outstanding. This is a 1995 arcade game, and the graphics are nothing but mind-blowing. And even when it got transferred to the Sega Saturn, the graphics were just magnificent for the time. You can't complain with the graphics on this. But above that, the speed was improved, the gameplay was improved, the characters just had a lot more moves, and it just did everything perfect on Virtua Fighter 1. They just added to it and made it even better on Virtua Fighter 2. So this game is a masterpiece in the 32-bit era of fighting games, and to be honest, I don't think it was ever beaten in terms of graphics and gameplay. This is the best 32-bit fighting game ever released. Now let's take a look at Tekken 2 for the arcade. As you can see, Tekken 2's graphics were improved and it looks a lot better. The sound quality on Tekken games have always been good, especially when you actually hit people. That's the only thing I can say is definitely better than Virtua Fighter. When you hit an opponent on Tekken, it looks and sounds better than the Virtua Fighter series. But Tekken 2, I have to say, doesn't really stack up to Virtua Fighter 2 in graphics. and doesn't really stack up to it in sound quality neither, besides the punching and kicking. So overall, it's still very slow compared to the Virtua Fighter series. It never improved the speed, and the combo is still pretty much the same. It's a pick up and go beat 'em up game. It didn't improve in the skill category of it neither. You just basically do exactly the same things you can do on number 1, you can do on here. But the graphics have definitely improved. And they've added a lot more characters as well. And the music to Tekken has always been good as well. You can't complain with the music. It probably even Stevens in terms of music on the stages of Virtua Fighter, because they both have really good music. But in terms of gameplay and how slow Tekken is, and how the combos and that work, and you can just bash the buttons and win a fight, it's still going to be a win for Virtua Fighter because the graphics are far superior and it's far better in terms of speed and gameplay as well. So round 2, game 2, Virtua Fighter 2 wins again. Now on to Virtua Fighter 3. Virtua Fighter 3 was released in 1996 by Sega. And again, you're looking at a masterpiece in terms of graphics. I mean, in 1996, this game's graphics were just nothing but mind-blowing. I mean, nearly every single Virtua Fighter release, the graphics just got better and better and better and blew the opposition away. And in terms of gameplay, they added another lot of characters to it. They added 2 more characters to this one as well. And the 2 characters they added to it, especially the female character, is nothing but outstanding. Her moves are fantastic. The way the game handles and looks is fantastic. It just got better and better. Every single Virtua Fighter game that went on and on through the genres just got better and better and better. And this is no exception. The graphics got better, the gameplay got better, and you know, it's just a much better game than number 2, in my opinion. But a lot of people out there will disagree with me and say number 2 was better and Virtua Fighter 3 wasn't as good as it should have been. But in my opinion, Virtua Fighter 3 improved on number 2, and in terms of graphics in 1996, this is amazing graphics. I mean, you couldn't get better in the arcade than this in 1996. So it later got ported to the Sega Dreamcast in 1998, and again, it's a fantastic port, and the gameplay was fantastic on the Dreamcast as well. Didn't like the Dreamcast controller. It really wrecked the conversion of the game, really, because the controller didn't really suit Virtua Fighter. And that's the only down bit about the conversion from the arcade to the Dreamcast. But overall, this game sounds good, looks good, plays good, just like every other Virtua Fighter series. And the addition of 2 extra characters adds much better gameplay and much better, you know, it just adds to the great series of Virtua Fighter is anyway. So now let's have a look at Tekken 3 in the arcade. Okay, so here we have Tekken 3 for the arcade. I mean, it doesn't take a scientist or anyone who's highly intelligent to see that this game lacks massively in terms of graphics compared to Virtua Fighter 3, and in honesty, I think this game was released later than Virtua Fighter 3 as well. And to be fair to Tekken, it was probably used on the 32-bit board because it was ported to the PlayStation 1, where Virtua Fighter 3 was ported to the Sega Dreamcast. But still, no excuse, Sega was producing much more powerful arcade machines back in 1996 compared to what Namco was producing. I think this was released in 1997, so there's no excuse for the poor graphics compared to Virtua Fighter 3. Again, the quality sound, as Tekken always has. It did actually improve the speed on this game, and it did actually get a bit faster, and a little bit more enjoyable to play as well, but still, it's a beginner's fighting game, and that will never change because that's Tekken's style of fighting. So I still prefer Virtua Fighter 3 in terms of its gameplay, because Virtua Fighter, in my opinion, has a better combat compared to Tekken. So yeah, but fairness to Tekken, they did improve the graphics, as you can see, compared from number 2. This is much better graphics. It's less blockier. The sound's just as good, if not a little bit better. And they did improve the game in terms of speed, what was a massive improvement compared to most Tekken series, because Tekken 1 and 2 were pretty much slow, especially on their ports to the PlayStation, where Tekken 3 was fast in the arcade, and even to its fairness, it was even fast on the PlayStation, what was, you know, incredibly good to Namco to pull that off, as the PlayStation's processing power was very, very poor at that time. You know, you couldn't really get much speed out of a PlayStation, so for them to improve the speed on Tekken 3 on the PlayStation and in the arcade that is a plus for Tekken 3, and it makes it better than number 1 and number 2, and probably one of the best Tekken games released in the series. So that said, it still didn't beat Virtua Fighter 3, and Virtua Fighter 3 wins this again, so it's 3-0 to the Virtua Fighter series. So now this is really where the versus starts, because Virtua Fighter 4, unfortunately for Sega, ended up on a PlayStation instead of Virtua Fighter 5. So there's really nothing I can compare here. The arcade boards are pretty much similar in terms of graphics at this point. So I'm just going to show you clips as you're seeing now of Virtua Fighter 5, Tekken 5, Virtua Fighter 4 and Tekken 4. In terms, this is just down to what you prefer to play really. I prefer to play Virtua Fighter because I think it's a better combat game and a better game in general. So unfortunately, there is one thing I need to mention about the PlayStation 2 port of Virtua Fighter 4. Because the PlayStation 2 was weaker in terms of processing power to the Sega Dreamcast, they did take out the Sumo Wrestler on that version of the game. But on the arcade version of the game, the Sumo Wrestler is there because the arcade is much more powerful than the PS2. But saying that, Tekken and Virtua Fighter 4 pretty much even Stevens on graphics at this point of time when the two games went head to head. So it's just really down to what you prefer to play in terms of gameplay. Obviously, if you've been watching my video, you'll know I favour Virtua Fighter. So I'm going to put Virtua Fighter the winner and win the whole thing 5-0, because Virtua Fighter was the beginning of 3D fighting games and was the king of 3D fighting games. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I enjoyed making it. See you next time on my YouTube channel, and until then, goodbye.